That's why if you were walking in the desert in Saudi Arabia, right, and you found a mobile phone, what are the essential components of a mobile phone? The essential components of a mobile phone are plastic. Does anyone know what is the base material from which plastic is made? Sand. No, it's not sand. It's petroleum. It's oil. However, there is something else that comes from sand, and that's the silicon chip. Silicon is, in fact, sand. Silicon chip, its base material is sand. So two important things. A mobile phone is made out of sand and oil. But no one picks up a mobile phone in the desert and says, look, a product of billions of years of chance and coincidence. Yeah? The oil bubbled. Yeah? The wind blew. The sun shone. The lightning struck. The camel trod. Yeah? And after billions and billions of years of these things happening, by an amazing coincidence, this mobile phone formed itself, oil and sand. And I pressed it and, oh, hi, Mum. What a chance and coincidence. Let alone that all these mobile phones talk to each other and you can send a signal and you see how ridiculous it is. So common human experience tells us even something more simple, a piece of pottery, which is clay. When an archaeologist finds a little piece of pottery, he doesn't say, oh my gosh, chance and coincidence. He knows someone has made this. Someone has heated it. Someone has treated it. Someone has painted it. And in fact, this archaeologist could tell you so many things about that civilization from this one piece of pottery. He could theorize so many things. He could tell you about their state of knowledge, their technology, so many things he could understand from one piece of pottery. That is why the Quran keeps asking us, look at the alternation of the night and the day. Look at the sun, the moon, the stars, the winds, the ships in which you sail, the animals that you ride and that you eat. Look at yourselves. Travel through the earth. See how Allah brought about the creation. In all of these things are signs for those who are wise and for those who understand. They point us to one very, very obvious conclusion. That this incredibly organized, systemized universe and world in which we live, with so many intricately coordinated mechanisms, we find this symbiosis. We find how one thing relies and depends upon another. And we can think of so many examples. You know, I remember seeing, until this day, when I was a little kid, David Attenborough going down a termite mound. Now, termites are little creatures rather like ants. And they build these incredible mounds of mud. So you can imagine in the equator, in Africa, extremely hot, and even in the nighttime, by the way, it gets really cold. Yet an amazing thing, these termites build at the base of this mound a series of rings out of mud. They build a series of rings. And also they have vents. And what this does is it keeps the heat, it keeps the temperature of this mound constant. It only fluctuates between a few degrees. And this also includes the body heat of the termites. And they actually have a certain place in the termite mound where they grow a certain fungus which they live on. They farm a fungus. These are termites. Now, these termites are not intelligent beings. They don't have brains. From where did they get this knowledge and this information to build such a perfectly, amazingly, intricately working mechanism? And they cooperate all together in order to do this. And we find these type of systems existing, even between animate and inanimate objects. We look at our Earth. Is it just coincidence that the Earth is at an optimal distance from the sun? If we were in astronomical terms, and I'm not talking about 3 or 4 miles, okay? In astronomical terms, by the way, our galaxy is 100, the Milky Way, the galaxy in which we live, is 100,000 light years across. That means if you lived for 100,000 years and you traveled non-stop at the speed of light, that's how long it would take to cross our galaxy. And our galaxy is one of millions in the known universe, which is, I think, 10 billion light years across. Right? So can you imagine the type of distances involved in the universe? Right? So therefore, understand that our Earth, when I say it's in an optimal, I'm not talking about a couple of miles. When something is within a couple of 1,000 or 100,000 miles, in terms of the size of the universe, that's precise. Try and shrink that down in human terms. Imagine if you put that into terms, how precise. I don't think we could think of a mechanism in existence built by human beings that has the precision of the distance of the Earth being from the sun. If we were much closer to the sun, then our planet would be too hot. If it was much further, it would be too cold. So in terms of the distance from the sun, the Earth is at an optimal distance for life to exist. The size of the Earth also is important. If the Earth was much bigger, the gravitational forces would be too overwhelming. If it was much smaller, there would be not enough gravity. This is another point. How about the combination of gases on our planet? Not only oxygen, vital for the existence of life, but also carbon dioxide and nitrogen. It is this combination of gases. Pure oxygen is poisonous. If you breathe just pure oxygen for long enough, it will poison you. You need a balance of gases. We need carbon dioxide. Plants need carbon dioxide. Nitrogen is important for fertilizing the soil. Ozone, another gas. The ozone layer actually filters out the harmful rays of the sun's radiation. That's why they've been making a big fuss about the depletion of the ozone layer and the increase in skin cancer in Australia and other places where the ozone layers become depleted, because the sun's rays are not being blocked anymore and they're starting to cause cancers. So, does life exist without an ozone layer? It would not. It would be radiated out of existence. Look at these optimal conditions. The Earth spins on its axis once every 24 hours. Imagine the Earth was going really slow. Right? Really slow. So the sun is shining on one part of the Earth's surface for, say, 20 years. That's how slowly the Earth is spinning. What would happen? One part of the Earth's surface would be superheated. Another part of the Earth's surface would be supercooled. And I could go on and on. We could talk about water, how water has an incredible quality. If water did not have the quality that it did, life would not exist. So what we find is a super precise mechanism. I invite anyone to find me an example made by human beings of such a precise mechanism. You'll not find it. How could if we saw such a precise mechanism and we found one, we would automatically presume that some super intelligent person or group of people had managed to make this thing. It is therefore only common sense that when we look around us and we see these things, that we conclude there must be some intelligence, some power behind this. And this power must be very powerful, very wise, very intelligent. And it's also common sense to realize that this being cannot be like the creation. This being cannot be like the creation. Because if this being was like the creation, then that being would not be the creator. That being would just be another creation. And that would need another creator. And we only end up with the same dilemma. We have creators creating creators forever. And that's actually not possible. And the reason it's not possible, just to tell you briefly why it's not possible, and I'll give you an example, I'll give you an analogy. If I said to someone, oh, can you help me lift up this podium? I can't do it by myself. And you say, sure, I will help you lift up the podium, but I need someone else to help me. And that person says, well, I'll help you only if you help me. And so if everyone makes the condition that I will only help if someone ever helps, will this podium ever be lifted? Huh? Will never be lifted, right? So if you have creators creating creators creating creators ad infinitum, you never get anything created. Right? Okay. So it makes sense that the creator is infinite, eternal, without beginning, without end. The creator is self-sufficient. We summarize all of this by saying transcendent, that the creator is not like anything in this universe. And that how could you have more than one transcendent being? And even again, common sense tells us that the precision that we find and the unity that we find in the creational process makes us understand there could only be one mastermind behind this. If there were different creators, in fact, what we would find would be chaos and disunity, not this type of consistent precision throughout our universe. And this is why, really, it makes so much sense to believe. It's common sense to believe that there is one God, that there is one wise, powerful, intelligent creator that is unique, who has brought this universe into existence. This is common sense. This is reason. This is why human beings, as I said, everywhere, historically, you will find in every culture, there is this belief in the transcendent creator.